The Lolo Body Bar by Barmaids is an addictive and oh so decadent head-to-toe moisturizer made with all natural skin-loving butters and oils. This amazing bar is most definitely one item that belongs in every fiber artist's stash. Working with yarns and fibers can be so rewarding even while it steals your moisture and leaves you raw. Lolo by Barmaids is luxurious, creamy, smooth, and so good for your skin. It's easy to use, and there's never any leftover residue that could destroy your latest masterpiece. Protect and soothe your capable, beautiful, creative hands. Trust me, just try the Lolo Bar. The results speak for themselves.
Hi, and welcome to Knitting Blooms. Today is Friday, April 5th. This is episode number 101. My name is Tina, also known as Bloomingknitter, and welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining me today. I have a little co-host here with me today, Mr. Marty. He got a haircut this morning, and he is sporting his new do for the camera and everybody else. Yes. He's such a cutie pie. He does not like the actual shaving part when he's at the groomer, but when he comes home, he just prances around like he's something special. So he's going to be joining me on the podcast today. He's probably going to be sleeping, but still, he's going to be here. Anyway, I've got a lot to share with you today. I have a finished object, and we have a new tutorial. We have some prizes, and I'm going to show you a couple of patterns that I received in the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to start off by mentioning the Podiversary drawing and the 3,000 member drawing, which I've set up in the group a while ago, a few weeks ago, but I wanted to give everybody plenty of time to get in there and post their response. I will be doing drawings probably every week in May for Podiversary 3,000 member drawings. So get on over to the boards and enter to win a prize. I haven't decided exactly what the prizes are yet, but there will be plenty of prizes to win. Secondly, I would like to also mention the Trials with Lace Knit Along. I had forgotten to mention that last week, letting you guys know that it was starting. I know that a few people had already cast on in the month of March, which was totally fine, because some people didn't necessarily have lace experience and they didn't know how long it was going to take, and in order to be entered for a prize, the shawl must be completed by the end of April. So I have set up the threads for those, the chatter thread as well as the finished object thread. So I hope you will join us with that knit along. I am hoping to start a second one probably in the next few weeks. Hopefully, maybe even at camp, I might start a second one. I don't know if I will finish it within the knit along time, but I do want to start another one. Hopefully, I don't know, I think I want to try and make one a little bit smaller to see how that works out, and also I have some yarn that I don't have quite 400 yards, so I'm thinking that's what I might do with it. So go on over to the thread and enter the Podiversary 3,000 member drawing thread, and also join us with the Trials with Lace Knit Along. Where are you going to go? Stay here with us. Everybody wants to see how cute you are. Everybody wants to see how cute you are. So I'm going to go ahead. I think he's going to go find a different place to sleep. And hopefully it's not on my yarn. No, you don't need to sit on my yarn. How about you come right back up here? Come on. Get back up there. There you go. Crazy. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of patterns that I have received in the last couple of weeks. Both of them are from other podcasters who also design. And I just want to quickly show you because I like the patterns and I want to make sure you are aware of them. The first one is by Mel of the Single-Handed Knits podcast. And it is her, let me see, it's her drizzle hat. And it is for DKs, made for DK weight yarn. And it's very cool. I am going to, I'd like to make this hat. Now, I don't usually wear hats very often, but I do want to make some hats for charity. And I have recently purchased some worsted weight yarn. So I'm going to try and alter the pattern slightly, just so that I can use the worsted weight that I've already purchased to make this hat for charity. And I'm hoping that I can do that over while I'm at Knittopia. So that's the first pattern, and again, the pattern is called Drizzle, and it's by Mel, the Single-Handed Knits podcast. It's very cute. I like the lace detail on that, and I like the rolled brim. It, you know, most hats have ribbing, so I'm going to try that. I don't think Steve would like that type of hat because he does not have hair. He's bald. And he always says that he wants a nice thick hat to keep his head warm. The next pattern is from Kimberly of the Sock Bunny Knit and Fit podcast, and it is her bee leaf half pie shawl design that she just released. And this is very cool. I saw the pattern on her show, and I really liked it. And she sent it to me, and I am definitely going to be knitting it. This is another picture that's a little bit more detail. So it's very cool. It's got a lot of texture. She's got some beads in there, and I'm very much looking forward to knitting that. I'm thinking I want to knit, use some type of gradient. I think that would look really pretty. So thank you guys both for sending me those patterns. I am very much looking forward to making both of those patterns sometime very soon. So let's talk about my finished object. It's epic. Yes, it is the Evenstar. I finished it last night. Well, technically I finished it this afternoon, but all I did today was the Kitchener on the border. But I finished the whole Evenstar last night. I finished the final border, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to block it. I can't even show you it all because it's so big. I love the gradient. This was Unique Sheep EOS in the strength gradient, and there was 6, Cody, please don't get up here right now. There was 6 skeins, and in the beginning, I alternated skeins and I cut the yarn. So I do have some ends to weave in right here. But after that, I started using the Russian join. And I don't have any other ends to weave in other than my ends at the end, which are right here. I have a couple ends to weave in for the border, and excuse me, you can't touch this. For the border, and when I changed over to those stitches around the edge. So very, very cool. Now, I did run out of yarn on the border. Let me show you. So from, oops, there goes my pen. From right here, I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference. I think you can. From right here to, take it around, to right there. So what I did, excuse me, can I have this stuff, please? I know you want to sit on it, but you can't sit on it. I don't want you to sit on it. So what I did was I just went back to color number 5. I was hoping I would have enough, but I didn't. Let me show you the right side. Oh, I was showing you the right side. Yeah, so it was probably, oh, I can't even tell you how many repeats. I'd have to count them. About 8 repeats that I was short on that that last color. But it's not that big of a deal. I don't think it's going to be that noticeable when I'm wearing the shawl, so no big deal. But I really love it. Like I said, I cannot wait to get this blocked at camp. It is going to be gorgeous. I love the beads. The beads were a lot of work, but I think they were well worth the effort to do it. Will I knit this again? Absolutely. I love it. Now, if I did this again, I think I would like to go with a one skein. So I don't have to be, you know, doing alternating skeins for a couple of rounds and so forth. So I think that I would like to do it with one skein. And I have some fiber optic gradient that I want to spin, and I have 2 braids of it. So if I take the 2 braids and I ply them together, 2 ply, I think that I would have enough yardage to do this project again, or another large pie shawl. Now, I don't know if I will do it with that, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. But this is gorgeous. I just love it. And like I said, I can't wait to block it. And I'm going to wait to weave in the ends until after I block it, because I want to make sure that I don't weave in the ends too tightly. I want them to be loose. Also, I want to mention that when I did the Kitchener stitch, I did it very loosely, which is what Susan calls for in the pattern. She recommends that you do it more loosely than tightly, because it's easier to tighten it up after you do it versus loosen it up. So what I did when I did my Kitchener was I did it very loosely, and then afterwards I laid it flat on my desk, because I did it at the office today. I laid it flat on the desk, and I just carefully tightened the stitches up so that they were more consistent with the other stitches that were in, you know, that I had actually knit. And I think once I weave in my ends, I won't be able to tell where that Kitchener stitch was. Let's see, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's right in there. But it turned out absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure that you are not seeing the full glory because you're not seeing the entire thing at one time. But as soon as I get it blocked at camp, I will have some pictures of the entire thing that you can see the project completely. I'm going to tuck it back in this bag so that little claws do not touch it, because they have tried to touch it a number of times, and that would be very bad. So that's my finished object. I'm happy that it's done. I've stressed myself out a bit with that this week, because I can't remember if I did 20 or 22 repeats this week from like Sunday to yesterday. I did a lot. I think a couple days this week I did like 5 or 6 repeats, and then I think yesterday it was either yesterday or Wednesday, I did like 8 repeats in one day. It was a lot of work, but it was totally worth it. But now that the Evenstar is done, I can kind of relax a little bit. I did stress myself out a bit by wanting to get it completed before camp. I knew that I would finish it up, but I also wanted to be able to knit on some other projects before I went to camp. So I kind of did stress myself out a bit with it, but it's done now. It just needs to be blocked, which will be done at camp. And I'm so happy about it, which means that I will be casting on for my 2 new sweaters. With this yarn is the Integrity Yarn by CJ Copex. It's in the Willy Nilly colorway. This is going to be the vanadium. Vanadium? I think that's what it is. And I'm going to, if nothing else this weekend, I'm going to swatch for both of these sweaters. So this one will get swatched, and also the yarn that I hand dyed 2 weeks ago will get swatched as well. This is going to be the Coraline sweater. So both of these sweaters will get swatched, if nothing more than just being swatched. But I want to get both of these sweaters started before camp. I probably could wait until camp to start them, but I like to kind of get a good portion of a project, you know, get into a project a bit so I kind of know where it's going and what I'm going to be doing on it before I am in a group situation, because I don't like to have to keep referring back to my pattern. I kind of like to have an idea of, you know, where I'm going and what I'm doing with the project before I get into a group situation. I don't think either one of these sweaters is going to be hard to do while in a group situation, but I think I need to get them started before I get to camp. So this weekend, both of these are going to be swatched. So I will have swatches to show you. Now, this one I will swatch with the actual yarn. This one I'm going to use the leftover little mini skeinlets that I did not dye, because I'm not nervous that I will run out of yarn, but I don't want to run out of yarn, so I'm not going to use my the dyed skeins. Now I know that supposedly if you are working in a different color or dyed yarn, it sometimes doesn't gauge the same way, but I'm going to assume that it's going to gauge just fine by using the undyed or the way that it was before I dyed it. So both of these are going to be getting cast on this weekend, hopefully. If not cast on, then definitely swatched. What else? Let's see. We have dye-along prizes, but I didn't bring them over here. There's not much to see because they're all just bare yarn. But let me go ahead and tell you who the winners are. I did draw the numbers earlier today, and the first prize is for the Knit Picks sock yarn. I had Knit Picks sock yarn and Knit Picks worsted. The first prize is the Knit Picks sock yarn, and that goes to number 67, Timo 92. Lisa from British Columbia. And guess what? She's coming to Knitopia. She got in on a last minute spot. We had some openings a few weeks ago for a couple of spots, and she contacted me, and she's now coming to Knitopia 2013. So Lisa, congratulations, you have won the sock yarn, and I will go ahead and hang on to it for you and bring it to camp and give it to you there. Hopefully you will see this before you get to camp and be able to be surprised, but you will have a nice little skein of yarn waiting for you when you arrive at camp. And the next prize is for the Knit Picks worsted, which is 2 skeins of worsted bare from Knit Picks, and that goes to number 36, and that is Sun Daisy 920, and that's Angie from Texas. So congratulations, Angie, you have won the worsted weight from Knit Picks. So just get in contact with me and I will get that in the mail to you. If you do not contact me before, say, the 12th of April, which is next Friday, then more than likely I won't ship the package to you until I get back from Knitopia, because I'm only at I will only have Monday and Tuesday before I leave for Knitopia on Wednesday. If I can get it out to you, if you contact me after the 12th, I definitely will, but hopefully you can contact me before the 12th. And then the final prize, which is the wool to dye for, I think it's sock weight, and that goes to number 5, Ingabean, and that's Kristen from Washington. So congratulations to all of you. Kristen, again, contact me and I will get your prize in the mail to you. And I loved seeing all the different things. The whole over dyeing tutorial that I did, I was totally inspired by those of you that were early in the posting into that thread who were doing over dyeing. I just loved the effects that you guys were getting, and I knew that I just had to do that tutorial, and I had so much fun with it. So I'm definitely going to be doing some over dyeing very soon. Not before I go to camp, but maybe soon after I get home from camp, because that was a whole lot of fun. So again, congratulations to everybody for entering and winning. So, barmaids. We do not have a barmaids drawing this week because we were doing the drawings for the other prizes. So you still have one more week to enter to win $15 off your order. So go to the thread and enter to win $15 off your order for barmaids. I think they have some new fragrances, and I need to smell them because I think I might like them. And I still have not ordered some Alolo bar for Steve yet, but that is coming very soon. Hi, Cody. I know. They can't see you, though. So I will be ordering a Lolo bar for Steve sometime soon. I'm still trying to decide on what fragrance that I think he might like. Pearl Knits is my current favorite. I just opened a new Lolo bar this week, and that was the fragrance Pearl Knits. Usually my favorites are Red Clover, Blackberry Sage, Pink Grapefruit, and Pearl Knits. And Pearl Knits and Pink Grapefruit both have that citrusy smell, and I really, really like the Pearl Knits. So I'm going to have to order me some more of that. So yeah, one more week to enter to win for barmaids. And now we come to our tutorial. Today's tutorial is going to be the first of a couple of tutorials on doing the sock yarn blanket. I have had several people ask me to do a tutorial on this. The pattern is available on the website by the designer, who is Shelly Kang. She has a blog, and she has all kinds of information on how to do the project on her blog. And but people have asked me to do a tutorial, so that's exactly what I did. In this tutorial, I just quickly show you how to cast on and do your first square. So let's get right to it. Here's the tutorial. This is the first of several tutorials that I will demonstrate how to create the sock yarn blanket created by Shelly Kang. This is a free pattern that you can get on her blog, which you can find at www.shelleykang.com. That's SHELLYKANG.com. And she has all the information on how to do this on her website, but I've had several people ask for me to demonstrate how to do this. And on her website there is a link on the side border, on the right side border, all about the blankie that you can click on to learn about how to do this. In this first tutorial, I will be showing you how to cast on your square with the provisional cast on and complete the first square. Future videos will show the joining of the squares, weaving in the ends, and then the I-cord border, which is this border here. This project is great for leftover sock yarn. It's for mostly I'm using fingering weight, but you can use any weight yarn as long as you stay consistent throughout the whole blanket. If you start with fingering weight, you're going to want to stick with fingering weight. If you start with DK or worsted or whatnot, you're going to want to stick with those weights of yarn. I am using a US size 1 needle, and which is what's called for in the pattern that's written by the designer. And I use a circular. This is a 9-inch circular needle, and the main reason that I use a circular needle is because I like to use metal or nickel-plated or what have you, the type of needles, and instead of bamboo. I originally started this on bamboo double points, but I like the metal needles better, and I couldn't find any metal double points that I was really happy with, so that's why I chose to go with a small circular needle. Now, you may decide you like a different size needle than a size 1. I liked the fabric that I was getting with the size 1, so that's what I stuck with. If you are a tight knitter, you may want to go up to a size 2 or a 3. Or if you're a loose knitter and you like a tight weave fabric, then you may want to even go down to a 0. You will have to do just do a square and determine how you like the fabric. If you like the fabric with the square that you make, then go ahead and stick with the size 1 or adjust your needle as necessary. Other than the size of the needle that you want to start with, you need to decide how big you want your squares to be. Now, I have chosen to do mine with 31 stitches. You can make your squares any size you like. Sometimes people like to go to 41, or I don't know if I would go smaller, but you can choose any number of stitches to cast on as long as it is an odd number of stitches. So let's go ahead and get started with the provisional cast on. Now, understand that if you do not want to put the I-cord border on your blanket, as I have done here, then it is not necessary for you to do a provisional cast on. Or you can do the I-cord border or any other type of border, but again, if you're not interested in having a border on your blanket, you can just go ahead and cast on using your favorite cast on method, as long as you make the cast on loose. But if you are planning on putting the I-cord border on, as I have done here, then to make it easier to pick up your stitches to work with, we're going to do the provisional cast on here. Okay, so for this tutorial, I already told you what size needles I use for my blanket, but for this tutorial, I'm going to use larger needles and a larger gauge yarn so that you can see the stitches a little bit better. I'm also going to use just a plain piece of fingering weight yarn as my waist yarn. You can use crochet cotton or another type of yarn, just something that's slightly lighter weight than what you're using for your working yarn. I'm also only going to cast on 21 stitches just to make the square a little bit quicker to go through. If you're using a worsted weight yarn for your blanket, you may decide that you want to cast on less stitches as well for your square. So what we're going to do is I have taken a slip knot and I've put it around 2 needles here. And I'm going to create my stitches by going around this piece of waist yarn. And how we're going to do that is we're going to go under and grab it, and then over and grab it, and then under and grab it, and then over and grab it. And you're going to continue until you have the required number of stitches on your needles. Making sure that the waist yarn stays on the bottom. If you happen to accidentally get it on the top somehow or wrapped around your needles, then you have done it incorrectly, and you need to make sure that it stays right there on the bottom, that it does not wrap around your needles at all. So you're going to keep doing that until you have the correct number of stitches. And like I said, I'm going to cast on 21 stitches for this particular square. Okay, so now that I have my 21 stitches here, I can take out one of my needles. It doesn't really matter which one you take out. And I'm going to turn the work so that I can start working it. But I am going to hang on to my my waste yarn just to keep it out of the way and to make sure that I don't lose that little loop that's across the stitch right there. And this first row, you are just going to knit all of your stitches on this first row. All the way across to the end, and the last stitch we're going to knit through the back loop, and we're going to turn the work. And now we are ready to do our first row of decreases. We're going to do a double decrease. Now what you're going to do is you're going to slip the first stitch as if to purl the stitch. You're going to have the yarn in the front, and you're just going to slip that stitch off the needle, slip the stitch off the needle as if to purl, and then move the yarn to the back. And then you're going to knit 13 stitches. This will take you to the center 3 stitches. Actually, I'm not going to knit 13 because I only cast on 21. So I'm going to find my center here. So because I only cast on 21 stitches, I slip the first stitch and then I knit 8. And then I should have the same number of stitches. If I don't include those 3 stitches, I should have the same number of stitches on the other side. Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to do my double decrease, and the double decrease is done by slipping 2 stitches as if to knit them together, and then knitting the next stitch, and then slipping the 2 stitches that you slipped over top of the other one. So you're going to pass those 2 stitches over, okay? And then you're going to knit to the end, and at the end on the last stitch you're going to knit through the back loop. Knit through the back loop and turn. And then on the back side you're going to knit all the stitches, but you're still going to slip that first stitch as if to purl it. So the yarn is in the front, you're going to slip the stitch, and then you're going to bring the yarn to the back, and you're going to knit across all of these stitches. And then when you get to the end for the last stitch, you're going to knit that stitch through the back loop. And you're going to do this on every row. You're going to slip the first stitch as if to purl and knit the last stitch through the back loop on every row, whether it's a decrease row or a straight knit row. And what that is going to do for you is it's going to give you a nice edge where when you're picking up your stitches for your future squares, it makes it easy for you to pick up those stitches. So again, we're going to knit that last stitch through the back loop, and we're going to turn. And now we are on a decrease row again. And again, Shelly has all of this information on her website, on her blog, so if you're getting a little confused or anything like that, you can always go over there and read the information from her blog. So we're going to do another decrease row here. You're going to slip the first stitch as if to purl and bring that yarn to the back. Now I did not purl that stitch, I just moved that yarn to the back. You're going to knit to the center 3, and in this case it's going to be 7 stitches. It's always going to be 1 stitch less than the previous row. And if you look at your work, you'll be able to see that here is my decrease from before, right there, and then you're going to follow it up, and the next decrease is going to be encompassing those center 3 stitches. And again, if you want to double check, you can make sure that you have the same number of stitches. Don't include those 3 stitches, but count the stitches on this side, not including the center 3, and then count the stitches on this side, and you should have the same number of stitches. Then we're going to slip 2 stitches as if to knit them together. We're going to knit the next stitch, and then we're going to pass those slip stitches over the knit stitch. And you can see how that lays, and all your double decreases will line up right over top of one another. And then you will knit to the end of the row, always knitting that last stitch through the back loop. And again, once we get this square finished, you'll be able to see the edge a little bit better, and see how it's going to give you that nice clean edge for picking up those stitches. Okay, so now we're going to slip the stitch again. Always slip that first stitch and knit across. This is a plain knit row. So you have one knit row and then one decrease row. And then a knit row and a decrease row. And you continue in this fashion until you have no stitches left. And this forms a square when you're done. So again, the last stitch, we're going to knit through the back loop and turn. The yarn in front, with the yarn in front, slip the stitch and bring the yarn to the back, and then knit to the center 3. I always like to get familiar with how to read my knitting, so I don't have to keep counting and remembering how many stitches I was supposed to knit to get to the center 3. But if you look at your knitting, you see here is my stitches right here, and so this is my center stitch. So the center decrease is going to be these 3 stitches. So I just have to look at my knitting to figure out where that is to see, so I don't have to keep counting every single row. So again, we're going to slip as if to knit 2 together. We're going to knit the next stitch, and then we're going to pass those 2 slipped stitches over top of the knit stitch. And then we're going to knit to the end. And again, always knitting that last stitch through the back loop. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this square, and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. Okay, so here's my finished square. It kind of looks a little wonky, but once you get more stitches or more squares attached to it, it'll start to look nicer. And this is, again, with worsted weight yarn. If you look at my sock yarn blanket, these squares are a little bit more dense, and that's why I like the sock yarn blanket much better. Oops. But I did this one in the worsted just to give you, make it a little quicker to get through and to be able to show you these stitches. Also, if you look at the side, you see that nice chain along the side. This is where we're going to pick up stitches for our next square. Now, if you want to have your blanket with the zigzag like I have here, then you will need the number of stitches that you want, or number of squares that you want across your blanket cast on, or in this fashion with your provisional cast on, if you're going to do the I-cord border. So you have to have 2 squares in order to cast on the next square, because you're going to take some stitches from this side and some stitches from this side to cast on this square. So what you need to do between now and the next time is to get at least 2 squares, if not more. I think I have 25 squares across the bottom of my blanket for one row. So you'll need to have at least 2 to do the zigzag. Now, if you decide you do not want a zigzag edge to your blanket, then you can cast on your squares a little differently. You can start with 1 square and then add another square here, and then another square here, and then add another square, and then keep going from there. So you will have a straight edge. I will show you both ways of casting on and how to build your blanket. But for now, you have the 1 square, and the next time we will do joining of the squares. I also want to mention that there are, at the time of this recording, there are almost 2,500 projects with this blanket in Ravelry. And I highly recommend that you go and check out some of the projects that have been completed, because there are so many different ways to do this. I have seen blankets that have like a stained glass effect where they have black in between each square, you know, all sorts of different things that people do. I've seen where instead of having 4 squares, they've cast on along 2 squares and did 1 large square. There's so many different ways that you can do this. So go and check out the projects on Ravelry to see what you might want to incorporate in your blanket. So until next time, my name is Tina, also known as Bloomingknitter, and you can contact me on Ravelry as Bloomingknitter, or you can email me at bloomingknitter@gmail.com. Thanks so much for watching. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I really love this project. I'm going to show you my full blanket as it is. It's still a work in progress. But this is going to be one of those projects that are in progress for a long, long time. I am really enjoying doing it. I do a square every now and again, and I have so much scrap sock yarn. Now, when I first started this blanket, I joined a bunch of swaps to get little mini skeins of sock yarn. And you too can join these swaps. I'm sure they still run them. It's over, there's a, I think it's called Sock Yarn Blankie group on Ravelry. And they just do swaps for mini skeins. They're usually about 5 grams. And you can usually get 1 to 2 squares out of 5 grams of yarn, depending on how heavy of the yarn it is. Most of my squares, or most of the 5 gram balls, I can get 2 squares out of. But also, it's a great way to get introduced to dyeing your own yarn, because that's how I started getting into dyeing my own yarn. I kept thinking, I'm never going to have enough different yarns to make a blanket. Now, like I said, I've done all these swaps and everything, and I have plenty of yarn now. But I've also done some dyeing. When I first started dyeing, I just broke up a plain skein, a bare skein, up into, I think it was 20 mini skeins of 5 grams. And I just dyed each one separately and then made all kinds of different colors. So that was a lot of fun, and it really opened my mind up to, Cody's trying to play with the blanket, that's why I keep moving it. It really opened my mind up to the whole dyeing process. Excuse me. And I've really enjoyed it, and it's really been a lot of fun. And just to have all of these different squares and to be able to look back and say, oh, I made socks with that. I made a shawl with that, you know, and some of them are from a swap, so I don't really know anything about them, but I can look at the yarn and say, oh, I dyed that yarn right there. And let's see, I made my Magrathea with that yarn right there. I hand spun that yarn and that yarn. And it's just fun to look back at it. Can you please sit down? To look back at the blanket and see this yarn right here I hand dyed, and then I made a shawl with. It's fun. I love it. I love this project. It's just a small little thing that I can just keep growing and growing and growing and just have fun with it. So I hope you will try this project, and I hope you have fun with it as well. And last but not least for today is the Knitopia talk. Yes, Knitopia. I have one more, about a week and a half before I leave for Knitopia. There's going to be one more podcast after this one before I leave for Knitopia. And then while I am at Knitopia, I will do little mini podcasts from camp, like I did last year. They will probably only be a couple minutes each. I will try and post them maybe every day or maybe every couple days, depending on what we're doing and if there's anything interesting to tell you about. But they won't be very long because I will be uploading them directly from my phone. Or if I go into town, I might, do a quick upload of maybe 5 minutes. But I won't have the capability to spend hours at a public Wi-Fi spot in order to upload a podcast that may or may not get uploaded to Blip, because we know what Blip does. If there's too much bandwidth taken from the upload or from other people using the internet. So during that time, I am going to have the tutorials that I've done in the past couple of weeks automatically go live for you, so you have something to watch. So if you haven't seen some of the more recent tutorials, like the over-dyeing, I think I have the a spinning tutorial, the sock tutorials, both the toe and the heel. I think that's it. So I will be having those uploaded so that they go live while I am gone. And I probably will record a full episode at camp and then hopefully be able to upload it to you guys Sunday night or Monday. That would be Sunday the 28th or Monday the 29th of April. So after next week, don't look for a full episode until the 29th or 28th or 29th. Hopefully I will have a full episode by then. So I just want to quickly announce the last of the sponsors for Knittopia 2013. And they are Dream in Color, Elite Spun, Universal Yarns, and Sundera. So this weekend I will be organizing all the donations and getting them all set up and ready to be packed up in the van up to Knittopia in a week and a half. I can't believe it's a week and a half. It's going to be so nice. I'm trying to take care of myself so that I don't get sick this year. The Evenstar is done, so I don't need to stress about that. I can just kind of relax. I don't really have anything other than getting the donations organized. Excuse me. Other than getting the donations organized this weekend that I really have to do before Knittopia, other than trying to get my house in order, because I hate to leave my house in disarray and then have to come back to it after vacation. So I do want to try and get things straightened up in my house before I leave. So that's going to be my project for the next couple of weeks, or next week and a half before I leave. So I'm very excited. It's going to be a fabulous, fabulous time. We did fill up all the empty spots for the retreat. We had 3 people end up having to cancel for personal reasons at the last minute. They just, some family problems and whatnot. But luckily, somebody else was able to fill the spot. So I think that's wonderful. And we're going to have a great time. I just wish everybody could join us there. So that's all I've got for you this week. And I hope you guys have a great week. Like I said, I'll have one more podcast for you before I leave for Knittopia on the 17th. And I will talk to you next Friday. So bye for now.